Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey, hey.
Show me the money.
Let's look at it, but I think I'm taking too long.
The spot for a Glock. I took a loss over floss, but still got a knock.
Money! Jerry, does that make you feel good just to say that? Say it with me one time, Jerry.
Show you the money.
Oh, no, you can do better than that, Jerry. I want you to say it what you would mean it, brother. Hey, I got Bob Sugar on the other line. I better hear you say it.
Yeah, no. Show you the money.
Not show you. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah. Louder.
Show me the money.
That's it, brother, but you got to yell that shit.
Show me the money.
I need to feel you, Jerry.
Show me the money.
Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money.
Just in time so I can get taken in your BMW.
You love this black man.
Hang like G.
Revenge is on my legs with a tail between the knees.
I love black people. I love black people. Who's your motherfucker, Jerry? You my motherfucker. What you gonna do, Jerry? Show me the money.
Congratulations, you're still my agent.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie with a Y.
And I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And tonight we did a sports movie. Just kidding. It's a romantic comedy. Let's just get all the cards out on the table.
You had me at hello.
Ugh, go suck a dick is what I have to say about that. Listen, guys, here's the movie we did tonight. Are you ready?
Jerry Maguire.
1996. So I felt pretty freaking cool watching this movie when I was in high school or whatever.
Same. Wait, you saw it in high school?
Yeah.
You didn't see it like kind of recently?
No.
Because when it came out, you would have been 10. So
right, I was too young. Liz, I have a story about when Liz saw it, but I'll get to that.
Oh, what? Dang.
But,
I feel like I saw it pretty close to when it came out.
Okay.
Not in the theater, but like
we had the
soon
VHS.
after.
We had the VHS.
Yeah.
But I just felt so fucking cool because I was like, guys, this is a sports movie. I'm watching it. I like it. So I am cool. And I pretended to get all the romantic bullshit at the end. I pretended to be like, I'm so happy and cry. But no. It was all for show.
It's a very cool movie, right? This movie has a very cool vibe because I think it is a Cameron Crowe movie. And Cameron Crowe's movies, I think kind of because of the soundtrack, let's say, of them. And they just feel very cool. I felt that about Almost Famous too. You know, Cameron Crowe is I feel like a certain way of directing that just has a great vibe to his movies. However, Cameron Crowe also seems to just do movies about guys who are oh no, woe is me. And then there's a woman along for the ride and he's you make me a better person, but I'm still kind of shitty.
He's I don't really love you, but oh well.
I feel like that because have you ever seen Elizabethtown? Also kind of coolish.
I thought that was
it was bad.
Yeah.
It was not good, but that's Orlando Bloom is in that, and I saw that on my Orlando Bloom love train. I saw every movie he was in, and that movie is really bad. And then I don't know about his like newer stuff, but it's a, like I don't know if you've seen a lot of Cameron Crowe movies, you start to kind of like see a pattern. Anyway, I saw this like kind of soon after it came out, and I was obsessed with it. First of all, it was in the peak of my I have a huge crush on Tom Cruise phase, and you know what? I'm not ashamed of it, because when I saw this movie tonight, I was like, damn, Tom Cruise looks cute. I think this is like the most attractive he's ever been. Did I say that in the other movie?
You did say that. You said that in Top Gun.
Okay, but he's like, so he's he's 30. He was 36 when they filmed this or
34?
something. 34. Yeah. So he's at the exact age Jerry Maguire is supposed to be, which is awesome. And he just looks like really good. I don't know what it is. He just like looks good. And for me, I think this is his best role. Don't at me. I think it's awesome. And I think it's because this is why I envision like Tom Cruise's actual personality to be. I think it's the closest to like what I think he really is as a person.
Then is it really a performance?
That's what I'm saying. So like maybe he's a shitty actor because
you don't know that.
he had
You're
to,
just
like
basing that on your like weird fantasy bubble of what Tom Cruise is like.
But that's why it's convincing to me. But yes, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I cried at many parts as a young kid. I was obsessed with it, and it became eventually one of my favorite movies. And upon this rewatching, like, still kind of is. I love this movie. I have huge problems with the plot, but other than that, it's like kind of like we talked about Forrest Gump the other day. It's almost like a perfect movie to me. I mean, like, all the acting is great. I mean, you have the main characters, and honestly, like, Jerry is my least favorite character in the whole movie. But, like, all the supporting players are so good. The script is amazing. Between just the writing in general is awesome, and this is Cameron Crowe wrote it too. But it's funny. It's freaking funny, man. I mean, how much did we laugh at this today?
So much. And
we knew all the lines,
yeah.
which is like amazing.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of movies in your life that you can like quote.
Yeah.
Especially a rom-com, depending on who you are. But
my friend Deirdre and I loved this movie in high school, and we would quote it all the time, and we had such like inside jokes about like TP and Brother Maguire and all that stuff. But so watching it tonight, though, I got thinking that this is a perfect movie if you remove that central love story.
yes.
And if you flip the central love story to be Rod and Jerry,
Yes.
it's so much
Thank
better.
you.
If they just got rid of that little...
Because that's what I think it really is about.
Yeah.
Like, the guy needed a
it
friend.
like ends on that, essentially.
Yeah. He didn't need another relationship because you learn obviously from the whole thing that he's really bad with good. I mean, he says himself,
Well, good at friendships,
bad
bad
at
at
intimacy.
intimacy.
And you're supposed to be made to believe that like he's able to overcome both those mountains. Like, you know, he gets intimacy both on a friend level and a romance level with like the Renee Zellweger character. I do not buy it, guys. And I gotta say, like, I guess I kind of did when I was like young and like, you know, naive.
I got
like,
so conned.
Yeah, you get conned, and like we were obviously like too young to understand it. But with like tons of hindsight and like age, obviously, and being with your own relationships, and also, which we've talked about, watching Tom Cruise movies now when he's like a total nut job, like that kind of takes it a little bit like out of it too. But I agree with you like 120,000%. I mean, you hit it like the nail on the head. This movie is still great. However, you need to be like that love story.
Just kind of like shake it off. Be like, yeah, it's a sham. Blah blah blah. Kind of like how Jerry shakes off his like non-existent feelings for Dorothy. Same thing. Just kind of like, yeah, I love you. Yeah, it's okay. It's great. Okay, yeah, bye. Where's Ray? So, anyways, pretty excited to talk about it. What did I say? 1996.
Yep. One was up for a couple Oscars.
Yep.
I think Tom Cruise is nominated, which like, you know, Tom Cruise is one of those actors that he's in like everything, and he's in really good movies. I mean, he's been in a ton of movies, but he's not a nominated actor. He never gets nominated.
He was in a lot of good movies. I think that his older movies, like 90s, were like Oscar kind of bait movies,
but
right?
he's never
Whereas
nominated,
now he's
though.
doing action.
But he's the kind of actor that like...
But didn't he
was
Born
nominated-
on the 4th of July?
I
Few
think
Good
he was
Men,
probably... No. See, that's the thing. Like, Tom Cruise is in movies that do get nominated, but he's almost never nominated. And I remember he was nominated for this, and that was like a huge deal. Because he's like so consistent, and like, you know, when you watch a lot of Tom Cruise movies, the guy doesn't have a lot of range. I mean, it's not like a huge thing there. So I know he was nominated. I think most of the cast was. I think this is nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, and then the big thing was that Cuba Gooding Jr. won. So that was like huge. And I remember as a little kid.
Okay.
I guess I was a teenager, like watching that Oscars, and when Cuba won, that was like a huge deal, and it was like so exciting.
So he's been nominated 3 times.
Okay.
Born on the 4th of July,
You're right.
Jerry Maguire, and Magnolia.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's not a horrible record or anything, but yeah, he's number one. But do you remember that Oscars and like when Kuba won? It was like so exciting.
Yeah, it was really great.
It was awesome. Yeah. And he was, because his speech, I remember, was like, he was so excited. Because as we've talked about many times, like comedies, and you know what, say what you will, but I mean, I don't know how you would even like categorize this movie. It's a rom-com. It's a rom-com. Yeah. And that's a genre that is not like total Oscar bait, right?
But
Almost as much as comedies.
But because of the sports element, they were able to pass it off as just a comedy. Like that's kind of what conned boys into watching this, I guess.
Totally true. Yeah.
Or that's what I thought. Anyways.
Yeah. So, but that was awesome. So I remember that like part of it too. I forgot where this is going. I don't remember, but I'm excited to talk about it too. I had so much fun tonight. I love this movie. I forgot how much I loved it. And it was one of those things where I was like, oh, I haven't seen this movie in a while. Like, not that I forgot it or whatever, but when you watch a movie that you used to watch like a lot and it just comes, it's like riding a bike. It just comes back to you. I mean, we were just like putting out the lines, like
doing the hand motions.
I mean, we were doing
saying
it all.
the lines before they happen. So like,
it's so
refreshing. We know them.
You know, it's like you never forget, guys.
Yeah, it's like my brain is still here. I'm not decaying. Yeah,
it's awesome. I'm pumped.
It's great. So let's do it. Let's do it.
It's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah, it is. Show me the money. I love black people.
Okay, I was gonna say it's like really hard to put feeling into show me the money. Like it's hard. Like right, you got embarrassed like immediately, right? Just now, okay. Yeah. But you did better at I love black people. So I think that like the show me the money line, maybe because it's so cliche, we just have like a hard time with it. I don't know. But I agree with you. It's tough to do. And no, I'm not going to do it. Thank you.
Do it. Challenge.
No, because you're like, I don't want to wake up your landlady and have her like call the cops because I'm like shouting things.
You're going to do it like the really loud
I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it at all.
Okay, fine.
Jerry Maguire is a sports agent at a huge sports
company,
agency. They have a lot of top athletes. He's doing good. He's riding high. La 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 la. One day, one of his players, a hockey player, gets injured and has like a concussion, and they're at the hospital. And his son's like, "Mr. Maguire, like this is his like billionth concussion. Or someone needs to make him stop." And Jerry kind of like says some bullshit thing like, "Oh, but he's a great player. Don't worry about it. He'll be fine." And the kid's like, "Fuck you," and then like walks away.
Because it was for that player specifically. In his contract, it was like all about money. So he like made it to a certain game. He played so many games and he would get a bonus. So he was really doing it for like the money. Right. Because all that stuff is like written in your contracts and stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So that kind of gets Jerry thinking. He goes home, has 2 slices of bad pizza, and thinks about it, and then has a sudden spark of inspiration and writes a 25-page kind of manifesto about like how he thinks.
It's a mission statement.
A mission statement about how he thinks the company, what direction they should be going in. And it's all about like focusing on the human and less on the money, downsizing, less clients, that kind of thing.
AKA, don't show me the money.
Exactly. So he like gets real excited about it, goes to Kinko's, prints out like these like elaborate
God
books.
Bless Kinko's, 24 hours. I mean, you're going to need to print something in the middle of the night. They're there for you.
Remember though when you would do a book report or something and you put it in the sleeve?
Oh my God, the sleeve with the spine that you put on the side? Oh my God.
So professional.
Dude, that was the best.
But those things, I mean, those like the binder thing would never stay on. Like you put it in your backpack and it would like fall off. You'd be like, shit.
Question for the kids out there listening today. Do you print stuff out for book reports now, or do you like email a PDF to your teacher? Whoa.
No.
Does that blow your mind or what?
Call Laura. Text Laura, get an answer.
That's nuts. So it's like the company that made those like little book report like plastic sleeves with the spine you stick on, like totally out of business now. Like nobody buys those.
I never even thought about them. I feel terrible.
I want to buy one and just make a fake one just so I can like slide the spine on and have that feeling again.
We should take a day trip to Staples.
I'll make a bullshit book report.
It'll be fun. The Sweetie Club. By Sweetie. A business proposal. That would be really fun. A business plan. So anyways, he hands them out to everybody, and then the next day he feels immediate regret and is like, why did I do that? But everyone's applauding him, which is like such bullshit. I'm like, what is this bullshit?
Well, they're like they're so fake. They're sales.
God,
they're sales people.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's the fake as
the worst kind of people. So He goes out to lunch with Bob Sugar, a.k.a. the devil penis head little shit, played by Jay Moore, right?
Yep.
What? Okay. It's spelled M-O-H-R. Give me a fucking break. He's the worst. Remember how he's like the love interest and Picture Perfect?
Yes.
And it's like, why are they making me give my heart to Jay
I don't
fucking
know why,
Moore?
but Jay Moore was
dickhead
like
Bob Sugar.
Jay Moore was like a thing in the mid '90s. You know how some guys just like, or women too, had just like a time when they were like the it person. You know, that's such a big theme. For some reason, Jay Moore, you know, penis face with hair.
What was his big show? His big thing? His big show?
He's like I think he was a comedian.
Yeah.
I thought he was Boston, like from Boston even
What?
too. Yeah.
Dummies.
But yeah, where'd you go, Jay Moore?
Where did you go?
Yeah.
Jay
So
Moore.
Bob Sugar, who is technically like his mentee, so he is like Jerry Maguire is his mentor. Bob Sugar is a little bit younger, but Bob Sugar is like as slimy as it gets, and it's like. These sports agents are like very slimy, but there's a fakeness to Jerry Maguire, but there's like something that's like
He was Saturday Night Live.
Oh yes, that's right. So there's a fakeness to Jerry Maguire, but there's like also some part that's genuine though. So he's not like the slimiest of the slimy, and obviously you feel better about him once he puts out this mission statement. So anyway, Bob Sugar takes him to lunch. He's like, "Hey, I'm firing you, bye," and Jerry's pretty shocked by this, and you're like, "Why?" Like, why are you really shocked by this? Like, did you think, like, they were just going to be like, yeah, we're going to adopt your awesome policy of, like, less money for this giant company.
Well, they
That's
did
all we care
applaud
about.
him.
Yeah, but those were all his, like, bullshit coworkers.
But it's not like he was, like, actively making moves to do that. I'm like, whoa. Like,
Right.
he just had an idea. It didn't go well.
Oh, totally.
I don't know.
So,
Pretty cutthroat.
Jerry's like, shit, I'm fucking screwed now. And the thing with sports agents is that they work on commission, right? So it's like, you need to have clients. And the clients, like, don't technically... I mean, they're with the agency, but there's this like option for him to basically like start his own business and take clients with him, right? So that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
So he goes back to the office and he gets his secretary just to start, and he has a pretty big like client list. He represents like a lot of people, and he starts calling them and been like, "Hey, like I'm leaving this company. You want to move with me?" Now, of course, this doesn't go well because, you know, people have allegiance to this agency that he works for. They want someone who's going to be steady, you know, blah, blah, blah. So he's starting to realize that, like, while he valued his clients, like, one way, they don't really value him sort of, like, the same way, right?
Dog-eat-dog world, man.
Yep.
And meanwhile, Bob fucking Sugar is like calling everybody else on the other line and is like, "Oh, P.S. Jerry Maguire does drugs. Like, vote for me." Like, it's so fucked up. Like, I just hate him so much. Anyway, so Bob Sugar takes all his clients except for one, and that is Rod Tidwell, played by Cuba Gooding Jr., who is a football player, wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. He's nearing the end of his career. He has 4 years left. And he's going to retire. And he needs a contract because he's making shit right now. Shit.
Money.
He's got an ant problem in his house. There's like a leak. I don't know what's happening. There's like his like weird brother lives with him. I don't know. It's the situation. So,
he's a good player, but he's just never been able to get a lot of money.
And he's a talker. He yaps. So he's talking to Jerry for like 10 years on the phone. And then all the other calls he can't answer. So he ends up with his only client being Rod Tidwell. And his big get, which is Kush. What's his first name? Kush.
I want to say Brian, but like I don't know why.
Jerry? No.
Well, Jerry O'Connell plays him, but I mean he's just Cushman.
Yeah, so he's a football player, young. He's supposed to be like picked first in the draft.
He's right out of college.
Yep. So he's like worth a lot of money to Jerry. So unfortunately, though, Cush's dad does not sign contracts, but his word is strong as oak. Whatever. Turns out, not so much, because you know what happened? Bob Sugar swoops in. Da-da-da. Dickface comes up and is like, "Hey, I'll get you that Broncos deal you want." And then that's it. It's bullshit. So now he was at the top. He was feeling good. Now he's crashing. He's crashing. He has one client. It's Rod Tidwell. He's not a huge moneymaker. He just, like no one really cares about Rod Tidwell, and that's all he's got.
Yeah. So rewind like just a little bit. So when he left the sports agency, he
I like how I'm just like preemptively deleting the whole
yes, you are.
love story.
I mean, this is kind of important. So he is, kind of flips out and is like, does another little like speech, like, oh, I'm leaving the company for like these reasons, whatever. Like, who wants to come with me? And at the beginning of the movie, like when he had kind of had the manifesto, you're introduced to this woman who is an accountant for the company. Like, why was she on that business trip? I don't know. And her name's Dorothy Boyd. Sweet girl, 26, single mom, widow. And she is a very, I'll say like impressionable person. And she like loves Jerry Maguire like immediately. And she's obsessed with the manifesto or the mission statement, can quote it verbatim lines to him. So I don't know if she was like up all night and memorizing it. I mean, she's obsessed.
Oh, yeah. And she memorized his bachelor tape.
Yeah.
She's just obsessed with him.
And it's like she worked at the company. So that's one of those things that he was like this bigwig. He's pretty good looking. And he's like this hotshot sports agent. And so I'm sure she had a crush on him like since she like started working there. So anyway, so he's like, who wants to come with me? And he's like expecting his secretary to come with him. And she's like, oh, sorry, Jerry. Like, I'm 3 months from that like pay raise. So doesn't have a secretary. Dorothy takes a leap and you're like, are you fucking stupid? Because like, yo, you're a single mom, like you're leaving a steady income. But you know, like I said, she's impressionable. She believes in people. She really does. She's a sweet, sweet girl. And she's like, I will go with you.
Yeah.
She also wants some penis, probably.
She just has no self-worth. No self-worth on that Dorothy Boyd. She just like doesn't think she's just like
she crushes hard. I think she just crushes hard. And she's really looking for, you know, deep down like a father for her son. I think that's like what she really, really wants.
It's like me in 6th grade being like, JC and I will end up together. JC Chauget.
She's only 26.
And then she gets the opportunity and just jumps right in. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen.
She says, like, she had to grow up so fast because she had her son and then her husband died or whatever. But she's 26 is not like, it's not old. Like, you really, like, she's been through a lot, but it's just, like, not a lot of living. So, anyway, so she goes with him, and they start, like, a side, their own business together. And then they have this one client, Rod. Yep. At this point, Jerry is still married to Avery, who's also engaged, also in sales. And then they end up breaking up once he loses Cushman because she is just, you know, she tells it to him straight.
She's the opposite of Dorothy Boyd.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
say that.
And you know what, like, that whole scene when she kind of like flips out at him, she's like, I don't know, like our whole relationship is based on like total honesty. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you totally fucked up. And honestly, like, I kind of saw her point of it. Yeah. And he wanted her to be like, oh, like, poor baby, like, it's fine. Like, we'll work through this together. But like someone need to tell him like he fucking fucked up. Yeah, so I kind of like felt for her. Yeah. I mean, she's kind of crazy, but
no, yeah, and she's definitely a psychopath. I don't know if I felt for her, but I just agreed with her. Like, yeah, she's right.
Because I feel like when I first saw that movie when I was like a kid or like younger, like you're supposed to think she's crazy and like, wow, what an insensitive bitch. But honestly, like I was like, yeah, like you should be yelling at him. Like he's a dummy.
Yeah, it's like all the movies we watched when we were little and then we watch now and we're like, actually, the sister is the best part in Ferris Bueller. I now starting to watch Doug and I'm like, Judy Funny is the word. She is the god. Like she's the best. It's amazing. And it's so funny how your perceptions change.
Well, it's like all women like become feminists with like years usually.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, most of them.
But yeah.
Bullshit.
So okay, so now basically Dorothy and Jerry start like having this weird connection, which is primarily a sexual attraction, and then to Jerry, and then for Dorothy, it's obviously she's like already picking out wedding rings and like drapes and stuff. So they go on a date, business date. Dorothy wears like some like skanky dress. Just kidding. It's not skanky at all. It's very 90s. It's like black with the they're not spaghetti straps, but they're like bra straps.
Yeah, it's like a breakfast at Tiffany's, like very Audrey Hepburn like kind of style,
but not as nice.
Dress. But it's super fancy. They go to like a Mexican place and he's wearing just like casual shirt and jeans. And he's like,
it's not a fancy place.
Well, he said it was a business date.
Dressed. She's overdressed.
Yeah,
it's like if we went to El Potro in like gowns, they'd be like, hello.
And like at this point too, like so they've been like, you know, like not friends, but like she's like his employee, but he has met her son and loves her son.
He's come over drunk one night and felt her tit. Like they've advanced slightly.
Yeah, and like a huge part of this movie is that she has a son named Ray who is like probably the most adorable child you've ever seen in your entire life. He's probably like 4. But he acts like an adult. He's like blonde, spiky hair, these little glasses, and he just says like amazing, funny things. And him and Jerry get along like so well. So that's when you start to be like, I think something is wrong here. And you're getting convinced that there's something between Dorothy and Jerry, but there really isn't.
Yeah. It's weird. So then they like have sex after their date, and he's like, everything's gonna change, and she's like, promise. So now they're like in love or something. But
Wait,
Jerry's
tell what happens in the kitchen though.
in the kitchen. So this is the night after they have sex to a jazz tape, and Dorothy's in the kitchen with her sister, and she's like, I have something to tell you. I love him. I love him. I love him. I love him for the man he is. She's like, goes on this like fucking crazy ass speech, and you're like, bitch, you've known each other for like a couple weeks at this point. I don't know what the time frame is.
You literally just had one date, like
One
a first date.
Yes, you've
kinda
known
went
each
romantic.
other. Yes, you've known each other, but you're like, whoa, she is stepping on the gas.
And the worst part about that scene for me is that like Laurel, the sister, is just looking for like dirty details about like the sex, right? And then she's like, well, what about this for like a dirty detail? I love him. Like, no, nobody wants to hear that. Like, we want to hear like penis size. We want to hear like girth. Like, we don't want to hear like, we don't want to hear you love him after you've slept with someone one time.
Please,
like, girl, like you said, put on the fucking brakes.
I don't want to hear the word girth again, but that's just me.
He has a chode.
Yeah, so he's listening to all that, and you can see he's like obviously a little bit freaked out. Anyways, they're like going along, la 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 la. Jerry's working a bunch, like trying to get Rod stuff. It's not working out too well. Turns out she needs money because she's really not getting paid, I don't think, and she has a child and whatever. So she's been offered another job in San Diego, so she needs to take that. And Jerry's like, oh, like I wish she wasn't leaving, but she should, but Lila. And Rod's like, it sounds like you don't love her. I don't think you should go through with this.
But the kid is great.
Yeah,
like,
it's so sad. And he's like, Rod's like, well, there's your answer. So Jerry's expecting to like tell her like, okay, like this was fun, like, but I guess we can't keep dating. And instead, he's like, what if we got married? And then Dorothy's like, what? I already have a ring. And then, just kidding. But they basically is what happens. And then she like runs inside and is like, Laurel, we're getting married. It's like, it's so crazy. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. So then they get married and Jerry's kind of like, oh shit. How'd I get in this mess? Gee, Jerry, I don't know.
Gary, oh, how did that happen?
Just call him Gary.
Gary Maguire. That's even better. He's a better Gary. So all this time, like it's now football season. So Rod is playing, and there's like something about he like can't get injured or else he gets no money at all or something like that because he's like in between contracts or something.
Play if he gets injured too.
Well, that too, but he doesn't have a contract. He's that's why. So they're trying to negotiate, and there is a point where he like gets a contract. He's super low balled. So I think that's when they decide to go like without a contract, and then he's going to become a free agent like at the end of the year or something like that. So like. At this point, you learn that like while Rod is like a great player, he is like no one like likes him. He's kind of difficult to play with. He's all consumed with getting a lot of money, and he like doesn't really play, as Jerry says, like from the heart. So that really like impacts him, like being able to get kind of like the contract that he wants. So they're like working through that whole thing, and then it becomes like it's Christmas time, and right around this time, also Jerry's been traveling a lot. And fucking Dorothy wakes up and is like, yo, I think you love my kid and you like me a lot. Horrible feeling. I mean, that sucks. And she like blames herself, and that's like the saddest scene.
That's what I'm talking about. The no self-worth.
Yeah, it's the saddest scene. And like I understand like what she was saying because she like knew that he loved the son and was like, well, I think she thought like maybe he'd eventually love me when really it should be like the opposite. Like you should be first, and then like maybe he'll learn to love your kid, or maybe he already does, but like whatever.
It's like the opposite.
She just isn't used to like taking like putting herself first, let's say, you know?
It's fucked up.
But she realizes this and is like, we basically need to take a break. So like while you go in this big important game with Rod to Arizona or wherever, like we're going to call this a break. So, you know, they never should have gotten married, let's be honest, and they're going to have this break now. So they go to this big game in Arizona, and it's huge. I don't know if this like was guaranteeing them in the Super Bowl or something. Was it? Was that it? Yeah. And
or not the Super Bowl, but like whatever's the
playoff
before that.
The playoffs.
Yeah.
So Rod, you know, doing his wide receiver thing, whatever that is, running and catching the ball.
I think you catch it wide. You're like a wide on the. So there's offense and there's defense. And Sweetie and Sweetie do sports. Yeah.
Remember when I talked about offense and defense in terms of Top Gun?
Yes,
because that was the best.
And my friend Christy was like obsessed with it. She's like, I was dying.
Anyway, I'm really smart. I was on Jeopardy. BT dubs. So anyway, Rod gets injured, guys, like really badly. Well, so you think he passes out? Yeah, like he's concussed. But maybe.
I don't think he's still
unconscious. He gets knocked unconscious.
He wakes up. He kind of like has like a what's that called? Brush with what's that? Life? No, what is
Brush
that?
with death.
No, but isn't it like called something else? Like a life.
New lease on life?
Maybe. His life flashes before his eyes, something like that. So he wakes up and he hears everybody calling his name, and he's like, oh my God, this is great when people like you. And then gets up and is so excited that he's like still alive and that he's here and that this is what he gets to do every day, and that he has like a fan. He's just like excited about everything. And then he like does funny dances and like things. It makes him an instant celebrity basically for the Cardinals,
which is all he ever wanted.
Right. So that's their way into getting the money. So they've made it. So they keep being like, we did it. We got recognized. Like, I feel like they're like pre-celebrating right before the money kind of comes in, because he's really just celebrating like the fame and the ticket into like a bigger contract. So Jerry sees this and he's like, wow, this is great. Rod loves his wife. He's calling her. He's crying in front of the press. It's such a great moment. Oh, I have a wife. I miss her. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go talk to her
too. So
he runs and goes to Dorothy. Runs his Mission Impossible run. Ethan Hawke. And Ethan Hawke.
Like, hey, that sounds like somebody else.
Ethan Hunt. And somebody else. It's funny. So he comes in the house and he's like, hello, here I am.
Great reenactment of this like most important scene.
And he like says a bunch of shit and he's like, you complete me, which is like this nice little like one moment he remembers inside joke. It's the one inside joke he remembers that he and Dorothy have. Not a joke, but this deaf couple, the guy like signs it to the woman. So he's like, you complete me. And she's like freaking out and she's like, you had me at hello. You had me at hello. Which, girl, let him talk.
No.
You need to listen to what he's saying, because if you actually listen, you'll be like, you're not actually saying anything. It's like when someone's like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to
she just like loves him regardless, and it sucks.
So sad.
It's dumb. And
so,
like you said, like he like, oh, he remembers that like one cute thing, like they're in this elevator and this deaf couple is in the elevator and the guy signs. Did you explain that yet?
I just did.
Okay, sorry. I'm blacking out. And that's lovely and all, and it's like a lovely moment of the film. However, like you aren't shown any times when they're like together, kind of having like these moments. The one time they hook up is like a little bit. Maybe there's a tiny glimmer that they maybe have this greater connection and that they really love each other. Other than that, they have no scenes where they're spending like any time together other than like with the son, which is like a whole different thing. And that's why it's not believable. Like, I don't believe, and I don't know if part of that is just the chemistry between Renee Zellweger and Tom Cruise just wasn't there. I don't know if they just don't do a good job of showing it. I
think they just don't do a good job of showing it, because the scene when they come back from the restaurant and it's like her straps fall off, like that whole scene, and that's all very believable. Like, the lust is there, but they just didn't have time to build a history, because newsflash, when you're dating someone for like a couple weeks, you don't just get married all of a sudden, because you haven't built anything on this relationship. And so it's just all built on a bunch of shitty
and he
bricks.
Wasn't there that often. I mean, he traveled
He's
a
always
lot.
traveling.
Yeah, like there was nothing to build that. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, why? Okay, I mean, I always say this, but like I say this about like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Like, why do you need to get married? You know, like, it's okay just to date.
That in that scene, he was like, I think I have a solution to our problem. So I think part of it was like,
but
if
why?
they got married, then
he didn't have insurance either. The whole point that like
I know
she
that,
needed,
I mean, that doesn't make sense.
It didn't make sense.
It did to him. I don't know.
Because, like, the whole point why she left was, like, that company didn't have any insurance for her, medical insurance, and then, obviously, she wasn't, like, making a salary. So, like, that's what was missing from her life. Them getting married wasn't mean she was going to get insurance or any more money, because he didn't have those things. You know what I mean?
But maybe like he had money, for, like his own money. So if they were married, it would become their money, and so she would have it that way.
Given her money,
Well, I don't
whatever.
know.
It's a bullshit relationship,
Yeah.
guys. Anyway, but they do get back together. Wah, wah.
And then Rod goes on this famous kind of like sports talk show, and he finds out he's getting a contract for 11 point something million dollars with the Arizona Cardinals for the next 4 years. So it's going to hook him up for the rest of his football career. He's so happy. He's like thanking everybody, and the last person he thanks is Jerry Maguire. And it's just like a really sweet moment, and it's real sweet. Everybody's happy, and all is good. And that's basically it. And then there's like this stupid dumb part where they're like, "Yay, we're together!" And then Ray throws a baseball really far, and Jerry's like, "Huh? What?" And she's like, "No, don't even think about it." Which is exactly how sequels get set up, I feel like. And it made me laugh because like, were they trying to do something here, like Jerry Maguire 2, Ray's Day? Is that what I said? It's a good title. But unfortunately, what happened is that Jonathan Lipnicki, who is the little kid in this, got uncute almost immediately after this movie.
That's unfortunate.
He was in that like one other movie, like Little Nicky, Little Vampire or something. And then that was it. And his career was just like, boop, you're done.
That's so sad. I mean, but he is adorable in this. I mean, he's like one of the cutest kids like
really
I've seen
really
in
is.
cinema in a long time.
So yeah. So we got him. We got Renee Zellweger. Obviously, we saw her kind of recently in Empire Records, which was 94?
Yeah.
3?
Wait. Wow, yeah. I mean, she's still like pretty young. And I think for her, this really like catapulted her to like a real level of stardom, because then she was kind of in like everything. And then she was like, she got nominated for Cold Mountain. I don't think she won, did she?
Chicago.
No. Chicago. Bridget Jones, obviously,
she
like
did
huge.
win for Cold Mountain.
So this really like rocketed her to like, because I think she had done like Empire Records and some like teeny kind of like comedies and stuff, and then this like made her like a big deal, which is awesome because I think she's like pretty great. And the thing about that character is like, I think she is kind of, the girl needs to like work on some stuff. That, she needs a therapist. She needs to like stop going after these men who she like needs to rescue or whatever. I will say though that character feels very real, and she portrays it as someone who's very relatable and seems like someone that like really exists, which is like, I really love that. And then like we said in the beginning, the cast of supporting characters in this is amazing, and they all do like such a good job. It's like mind blowing. It's one of like my favorite like supporting cast, and honestly, like
she did win for Cold Mountain.
She did, yeah.
Yep.
I've never seen that movie.
Neither. It's boring.
Yeah. The book was, I tried to read the book and I was like, snoozy. Yeah. So the cast of supporting players are like amazing, and they are just so like well thought out. And like for me, really my favorite part of this movie is like the Rod Tidwell and him and his wife and like that whole thing. I think those people are so interesting. I think their characters, the Rod Tidwell character and Cuba Gooding Jr. especially, is like for me like the gold standard of basically like what a supporting actor like award can be, and like what you can do like with that role. I mean, that guy like carries this film.
Well, he like is the movie.
Yeah.
Like you're just waiting for every scene with Rod.
I mean,
you're like,
that
where is
guy
Rod? Where is Rod?
Gold.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And then like
and his wife too.
Yeah, and then Regina King as his wife is just another one of my like favorite performances of all time. And I feel like finally Regina King, like 20 years later, is finally getting recognition. She just won an Emmy Award for like this stupid show that is not even good. But I feel like
she's great.
Like, she deserved one like 20 years ago, and she's finally getting it. Actually, even before that, because I think she was in that movie that I always talk about called Higher Learning.
Yes, probably. Everyone has been in that movie.
I'm like obsessed with that movie, and I don't know why. But she's the fucking greatest. I love her so much.
Yeah, she's awesome.
But yeah, that part is the best. And really, I just wish it could just be like a movie about Rod.
I know.
Or would that not have been as successful? Because it's like when you're taking something that should be like seasoned in through here, and instead you dump a bunch of salt in something and ruin it.
I will say
know.
like my second. So, like, I love the Rod story and his whole thing, but my also favorite part is just him. I think him and Jerry, so him and Tom Cruise, have an amazing dynamic. And their scenes together when they're just chatting, like, I could watch those forever. I think they are awesome. Yeah. Like, they have a great dynamic. The writing is awesome. It's just like, and a lot of stuff gets said and done within that them two talking, and that's why I think that's where the real love story is. This like platonic love story that both of them, not that like Rod needed a friend, but he needed someone like to believe in him, I guess, like in that sense. Like he had his family believe in him, like obviously, but he needed like a cheerleader like on this other side.
He needed someone to like tell him
and to tell him
the truth.
Exactly. And then Jerry, like we said, like needed someone, you know, he was just like dating all these women and like whatever, and that really wasn't working for him. And like it's okay to say that like you can't do intimacy with a woman, because I think that's like a lot of men. And he was able to do that though with Rod, because like all of the tears that come out from Jerry in this movie revolve around basically like the Rod stuff, if you like think about it. And like
It's
that's
so telling.
And you could say like that maybe potentially like broke him. So he like Rod made him, he got that intimacy with Rod, and then he was able to do that maybe with Dorothy, I guess. You could like kind of think that.
But is it just like the same thing as like him like loving Ray? Like, I don't know. It makes me feel weird.
Yeah.
I just think it's so telling that they end this movie. They could have ended this movie on the climactic him coming into Dorothy's house and saying the famous line and stuff, but they don't. They ended on the Rod on the sports show moment is like the true ending climactic scene.
Well, I also think too that like Jerry's whole life is that job. So, and that's was a huge part of like why his marriage didn't work out too, because he was really more invested in the job than like the marriage. But anyway, so sorry, a couple more with the like supporting players because they're like my favorite. So Kelly Preston is the Avery character, and she's like almost unrecognizable because she's a redhead, and I don't know if I've like ever seen her as a redhead. So Kelly Preston, John Travolta's wife, and she's never like starred in a movie, but she's always she's always like someone's wife or something like that. But she is like hilarious in this and funny, and like it's a crazy bitch, but like I love that character. I think she's great. Bonnie Hunt, I mean, what is there to say about Bonnie Hunt? Again, another person who like completely steals every scene she's in. All you want to do is be around that character. She's amazing.
Yeah. And she's just not in enough. Like, it's like now and then. We're like, why is she only in this one tiny part? What an underutilization of Bonnie Hunt bullshit.
But that Laurel character is like,
she's great.
She said, you know what's great about it? She says what the audience is basically like thinking. You're like, wait a minute.
But she doesn't. Not always to Dorothy. Like, she could have, when Dorothy came in and was like, we're getting married, she could have been like, let's talk about this. And I'm kind of disappointed that she didn't.
She knows how that goes. And she wanted to see her sister happy too. Her sister had a really rough time, and it was like a one shot of happiness. And she really did like Jerry, but she knew like what was up being like a little bit older.
Right.
And then you have also like Jerry O'Connell, grown up from Stand By Me. It's quite bigger now as Cush, which is I think is like a really funny role, very small but like awesome. And his dad, played by Beau Bridges. You know, My word is strong as oak. Matt,
you have my word.
Cushman,
it's strong as oak. Yeah. Fucking Matt Cushman, that fucker. He's like a real piece of shit.
So it's awesome. Like amazing casting for this.
So here's a couple. So my memories of this movie were, one, the sex scene. I thought was like legit hardcore pornography when I was little. I would watch this and be like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. And then I'd like make my friends come over and be like, you guys want to see something? And I'd like pop in Jerry Maguire and be like, look at this scene, look at it. And it's not even like I think it's mostly, it's just like a lot of like fucks. Like she's like, don't ever stop fucking me. You don't really
tell
see
me how
much.
like how does that working? They're like against a bookshelf. Is he standing up?
Yeah. You never had sex standing up? He could be like kind of perched. Like,
but
his
she's
butt,
like jump. She's like jumping
stuck in the
like
shelf.
she's like. Where are her legs?
He's supposed to be like holding her up, like, with like he's like so strong.
Okay.
That's what happens.
I got
it. Interesting. Yeah. But
what's great about that scene is the way they introduce it, right? So it's like that's what was always so shocking to me, because what happens is like Dorothy is on this plane with like all the sports people, and Jerry's in first class sitting next to this blonde woman. He's telling her all about his fiance, and she's like listening, and she like goes close to the curtain, and she kind of gets the stewardess like pulls it away. So she goes, "Wow, like whoever bagged that Jerry Maguire must be like one classy lady, and then it goes into this like crazy fucking scene where she's like saying all this like kind of raunchy stuff, and it's kind of awesome because it's like so jarring. You're just like, whoa, like think about another some side boob, like.
So even though I didn't maybe see the full movie until I was in high school, I definitely saw that scene when I was younger, and it was like the one thing I remembered from it, and it definitely set me up for failure in terms of like expectations of like what sex and relationships were like. I was like, wow, I guess sex will be like a porn, and then a relationship is built around just like eating giant strawberries naked in the kitchen. Like I just like assumed that
Why
was
did they
that
have
was
so
life.
many strawberries in a bowl?
I don't know, but I was always like, that's love.
That was the most strawberries I've ever seen. It was not love. The relationship was, I don't even know what that relationship was.
Who knows? So there's that. And then, so the other part is, so I mentioned our other sister, Liz. So I remember like vividly when Liz saw this at the movies and she came home and we were like, Liz, how was the movie? And she was like, oh my God. And she's like, I cried. And I was like, oh my God, you cried? Was it sad? And she was like, no, it's a woman thing. And like, or like Shannon's mom said that or something, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And then when I watched the movie or like saw the end to see like what made Liz cry, I was like, I don't get it. And then when I was in high school, I pretended to get it and was like, I totally get it. And now I'm like, this is such a sham.
So I never cried at that. I never have ever cried at the You Had Me at Hello part ever. And like you guys who listen to this podcast, I am a movie like crier. But I did cry at this movie.
She did.
I will tell you. This is the scene that is important, guys. And again, along the theme of this is a movie about a friendship between Rod and Jerry. And here it is. So, big scene. Rod gets injured, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of intense. And there's this whole part where like his wife, Marcy, kind of freaks out. And I kind of love that part and also kind of makes me emotional. Mm. She's like, calls Jerry and she's like, Jerry, like this, my family's my whole life and it does not work without my husband. Like they have a great relationship, right? And you see that on screen and you believe it. Like that chemistry between them is awesome. So Rod, is fine, wakes up and Jerry, is freaking out. Now, I think previously he would have freaked out because it meant like no money, but he does have this relationship with Rod now. They're friends. Mm-hmm. He cares about him. So he's obviously very glad. And then, Rod does this great thing where he does this amazing dance and break dances and it's like all happy and stuff like that. And like as Sweetie said, like he now is like basically is going to get all the endorsements, like all this stuff. The press never wanted to talk to him. Now they're going to talk to him. He basically came back from death and like whatever. And then they won the game too anyway. So he comes out of the locker room like with his shades on, he's going to have to like talk to the press and everything like that. And Jerry's waiting on the side as all the sports agents usually do. And I think normally you would think maybe prior to this that once Rod had gotten this attention, he would have gone like straight to the media and talked to them and stuff. He comes out and doesn't even look, and the people are want to interview him and stuff like that. He goes, "Where's my agent? Where's Jerry?" And Jerry's like off to the side, and Jerry just like kind of does a thing to him, and he's like, points to him and thinks like that's it. But no, he wants to go to Jerry. He wants to hug him, and they do this amazing embrace. And it's beautiful. I mean, and they both are crying, and it is awesome. And I've always cried at that part. I don't think I cried actual tears, but I grabbed your leg, and I got emotional.
Oh, yep.
Right?
We'll
because isn't that part super emotional? And it's a great scene.
I got the feels. Yeah, it's an amazing scene. Yeah, I agree.
My favorite scene in the whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
By far.
Me too.
It just makes everything like worthwhile.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I kind of want to jump right into the fact that I previously said that I thought Forrest Gump might be the movie that had the most lines in it that I use like in everyday life, but it might actually be Jerry Maguire.
Awesome.
Who fucking knew? Oh my God. So I have like a huge list. Okay. So number one, when there's this another favorite scene I have is when Jerry goes to see Rod like after practice or something, and he's in the locker room and he just has taken a shower, so he's all wet and naked, and they're having this like conversation, and Rod's naked, and Jerry's like, "Do you want a towel?" And Rod's like, "No, I air dry." And he just like shakes it off like, and this is what I do. So whenever I am washing my hands or something and there's no paper towel or there's no towels in the bathroom, I'm always just like, no, I air dry. And then I walk away. It's so great. It's One of my favorite things to say. Please adopt it. Secondly, I love when like things get crazy and in my head I'm like, I'm not gonna do what you all think I'm gonna do, which is just flip out. And that was Deirdre and I's favorite part when we watched this in high school. We thought that was the funniest shit I've ever seen. And it really kind of is, because you don't often see Tom Cruise kind of like lose it comedically, I guess, like that. Like he really committed in that flip out part.
Yeah.
I really value that. I really value that scene. And then here's one that Sweetie and I both use a lot, which is when little Ray is sneaks out and talks to him when he's supposed to be in bed, talks to Jerry, and then he hears his mom coming and he's like, I gotta go to bed, my mom's coming. I gotta go to bed, my mom's coming. And so whenever Emily and I are tired, or Sweetie and I are tired, we're like, I gotta go to bed, my mom's coming. It's so random, but I love it. And then if someone asks a stupid question to me in my head, I will never say this out loud, but I just like to say it in my head and then like chuckle internally, sometimes externally. But I'll be like, no, I am not Hootie.
You explain that scene.
So he's in the airport and he's like, Rod's in the airport and he's kind of like, ugh, of course, Jerry's like focused only on his golden boy, Kush. Like no one cares about me. And then these two little boys come up to him and they're like, excuse me, are you Hootie? Because he's wearing, and like in their defense, Rod is wearing a plaid t-shirt and a baseball cap. He looks like Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish, right. AKA Darius Rucker. Wagon wheel.
Rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel.
So Hootie and the Blowfish were huge at this time.
Yeah,
so
right.
I support the kids in the mistake.
Let
I don't
her
think it's
cry.
racial. I think that he's literally he's asking for it because he's wearing he's wearing the plaid shirt. Like, has Rod ever worn a plaid shirt in his life?
Racist.
No.
Not all black people look the same. What the hell?
I just said it's not a racial thing. It's because of the clothes he's wearing.
I'm saying
God.
the kids are racist.
Would you please pay attention? I'm
saying the kids were racist.
Anyways, so that's that
punks.
scene. So then they're like, you Hootie? And he says, no, I am not Hootie. I just like, yeah.
Hootie.
He's like so pissed off. Okay, so there's that one. When in that same locker room scene when Rod's naked, Jerry kind of starts flipping out, and previous to this, Rod was really like kind of giving it to him and was like his usual sass. But then Jerry's freaking out, and then Rod's like, Jerry, talk to me. Like he's like, what is wrong? So I like to use that when like someone's
In
being
general,
like spiraling.
Again, another like moment of a very seldom Tom Cruise like comedy moment. That part in the bathroom where he starts flipping out,
Yeah.
and I actually, this is a part I quote sometimes, but it's like super simple. When he's like, fine, fine, fine. He just starts flipping out, and then he like kicks the wall, and he's just like, fine, fine. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's so
oh
good.
my God, I love
it.
that
I love
part.
it so
and
much.
And then Rod like makes fun
he's
of him.
like, hoo-hoo, like, help me, help me, help me.
Hilarious.
I love it. Another one. So I love this part too. There's so many good parts, and like they're just all so hilarious. But also when Ray sneaks out, Jerry's phone rings and Ray picks it up, and he's like, and then before before Ray, or who is presumably supposed to be Jerry, says hello, Rod like takes off on his like rant, and he's like, you should be dreaming about me, baby. You should be thinking about me every night before you go to bed. And Ray's like, who is this? And then it cuts to Rod, and he's in a bathtub with his little boy, and they both have like bath suds on their heads, and he's like, who is this? I like to think of that one that's like, I answer the phone and it's like, I don't know, it's just funny to me. And then the scene, which is actually very emotional, but when Rod does have his kind of accident, and then Regina King's character is talking to Jerry on the phone, and she's like, Jerry, I am freaking out. You're okay? I always say that in my head when things are getting like really crazy. Either it could be serious freaking out or hilarious or being like silly freaking out. I've used it both ways in my head.
So many.
I know, and I think that might be the end of it.
Awesome.
But
your whole life is like this is Jerry Maguire.
It really didn't hit me until tonight, and I was like, damn, that's crazy.
So awesome.
Yeah. Anything I left out?
No, but I think we covered all my favorite scenes but one. So after Jerry thinks he has landed Cushman as like a client, so he's Rod, and then he's going to get Cushman too, and then they're getting ready to go to the draft and stuff. he had like flown out to their ranch and is like driving back in like the rental car or whatever, and he's like so pumped. And I feel like this resonates with like everyone. Like, you know, you get like really pumped and you're like, yeah, like I need a good song to like accompany my like attitude and my like excitement. So he like goes through the stations on the radio and he like kind of knows every song, but he's like, this isn't right, and like one is like, it's like, just call me angel in the morning, and he sings like super high falsetto, and he's like just trying to like groove with it, but he can't. And this is like a really famous part. Finally, he stumbles upon Tom Petty Free Falling and just like flips out, and he's like singing along, and he's like jamming on the wheel, like free falling. And I feel like everyone just like totally connects to that part, and it's a good, very good use of the of a very great Tom Petty song, right?
Wow.
I love that scene.
I thought you were going to bring up the Kushlash.
Kushlash, though, too. That's like one that's always in my head.
That's true.
Kushlash,
And we've changed
Kushlash.
it to Mooshlash, which is our nickname for Sweetie's cat, April. We won't go into those details. But, so we're always like, Mooshlash, Mooshlash.
Oh, my God. The Jerry O'Connell characters. I hate that part when he's like, so Cushman, it's the draft, and he's like number 1 in the draft. So he's either going to go to Denver or San Diego. And he does this dumb line where he's like, well, I'll either surf or ski. And I'm like, fuck you. And he just keeps saying it. And I just hate him so much. And he's just like exhausting. It's this dumb act. I mean, Jerry O'Connell plays that like very well. But I'm just like, dude, I hate you. You're such a meathead. And you're like a dummy. Oh my God. Love it though.
Totes.
Love it. Okay, let's talk about the use of the Bruce Springsteen song Secret Garden.
She'll let you in her heart. She'll take you to a Mexican restaurant.
So I feel like the mid-90s was the time of like the soundtrack jams. Like they would get one song, a really big artist to make one song for the movie and use it in the movie, and then unfortunately use the song lyrics within, use the movie lines within the song.
I don't remember this happening any other time though, except this one.
I think it did, but it was like exhausting after a while and completely killed the song. And now this song makes me cringe. And I love Bruce Springsteen, but I'm like, ick.
I mean, to be fair, I think the song was dead like on arrival. Like, I don't know if it's killing it at all. It's a pretty terrible song.
But
it's
you guys
just
remember
like,
that on the radio? Explain it.
Okay. So instead of just releasing the song, so our radio station, 96.3 The Rose, would have, a countdown every night.
So.
Yeah, every night they do like the top 10 songs. And this one had a run for a while of like number 2 or number 1 or whatever. But it would always be like, and number 1, Bruce Springsteen, Secret Garden, the Jerry Maguire version. And it would play the song, and then they would like fade out, and then like clips from the movie would come in. So they had like the I love him, that was in there, and then the like you complete me,
the end part, and then that part where they had like the breakup speech, which I was
like,
quoting.
I thought that I took the proposal to be like real, but it could have been a hypothetical.
That was the part.
Yeah. And then the last one is, and then the song fades out with her being like, "You had me at hello, you had me at hello."
Yeah, so clearly this was like a huge movie that everyone was like obsessed with, and then this song, and it was like so romantic. But again, we're like, the romance is bullshit.
But it's so dumb. And like, what the fuck does this song even mean? Like, can you please tell me what we're supposed to gather from
She's
this?
got
That
a secret
like
garden.
Her vagina is the secret garden or something? Like, what is happening? Does she have a big bush? Like, what's going on? I'm just kidding. But I just think it's so funny, and I like to invent other lyrics to the song that like aren't real. Like, she'll let you touch her straps. They'll fall down on the ground.
Speaking of,
you'll see her boobies.
What happened with that dress?
Okay, so here, always a major confusion for my friends and I. And again, tonight watching this, after they come back from the Mexican restaurant, they're like standing on the porch having like a makeout scene, kind of like kissing, whatever. It's so sensual. He's like touching her with his fingertips. It's crazy. But then he like goes to touch the straps on her dress, and they immediately.
Sorry, hold on. Just pause 1 second. I'm reading the lyrics to the Secret Garden song. I did not realize that this was one of the lyrics. So she'll let you in your house if you come knocking late at night. She'll let you in her mouth if the words you say are right.
Ew, Bruce.
If you pay the price, she'll let you deep inside, but there's a secret garden she hides. Ew.
I think the secret garden is her heart. Just a guess. Or it could be about prostitutes. I'm not sure. But, yeah, that's unfortunate. I thought someone died when you like were on your phone, and I was like, whoa, do we have to stop the podcast? Anyway, so he puts his thumbs like under her black straps, and immediately they just snap off or break. We're not sure. Whatever it is, both straps fall down, and then the camera doesn't show anything below that. So you're like, is she topless right now? What's happening? What's going on?
Cheap ass dress. That's all
I feel bad for her. And then he like slowly goes down and does something down there, and she has a reaction, and then he like pops back up slowly. He's like, la la la, and then has both the straps, and then decides to do a little fashion fix on his own. Makes it work.
It's a halter.
Yep, does a halter, ties the straps around her neck, and then they kiss and whatever.
It's so fashionable,
romantic.
that Jerry.
But like, why are the straps breaking? I'm just so confused by that.
Bummed.
And I want to know if she was topless or not, and if he saw her boobs.
Whoa.
I just want to know.
Her non-existent boobs. She barely has boobs.
Her mosquito bites.
Yeah, her nipples.
Mosquito bites, yep. Little bumps.
Okay, let's talk about Chad.
Chad.
I love Chad.
Not
Again,
Peter
Sarsgaard. I don't know who that
Sarsgaard.
guy is. He looks like Peter Sarsgaard, but like his bald brother or something. Or brother who's losing his hair. So he's like this funny of the babysitter, basically. Because it sounds like Laurel, or it seems like Laurel has a night nurse job. I think she's a nurse.
Oh, God. IMDb finally works.
Yes. So Chad is the babysitter, but he's so funny. So he's like
Louise.
He's very intense, and every time he's like, so you're the babysitter, and he's like, I prefer child technician. And then another point, he's like, I prefer au pair. He's so funny.
He's so weird.
And he's so intense. And they kind of like intersperse him in the film as sort of like interacting with Jerry. And like the best part is when he comes out and like he says goodbye to the family. And then he comes out and sees Jerry on the porch. And Jerry's like gonna come inside and like hook up with Dorothy. And so Chad's like, I need to give you something. And I think Jerry thinks he's going to give him condoms. And he's like, Chad, oh God, no. Like kind of flips out. And then Chad gives him like a Miles Davis or Thelonious Monk, I forget, like some jazz greats tape.
Coltrane.
Yeah, Coltrane. And he's like, this is like the jam. Like this is, you got to use this and like whatever to like seduce Dorothy essentially. So then they play that when they're hooking up and then they laugh and stuff. But man, I love that Chad.
But they kind of like diss John Coltrane and Miles Davis. They're like,
That
what
sounds
is
awesome.
What is this music?
I'd
Oh
have
my
sex to
God.
jazz.
Like, are
It
you
sounds
fucking
like
kidding
fun.
me? God,
Yeah.
grow up.
Grow up.
Jerry.
Have some taste, Jerry.
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, so that's Chad. So he's a great little like side character that you don't think about too often, but then when you rewatch this, you're like, Chad is great.
Chad's awesome.
What else? What else you got?
That's all I got.
Oh, was thinking. I kind of had a moment of like spiraling panic when I saw the old laptop in this. There's like this ancient old like white little
Who had a
clunky
laptop?
laptop, Jerry. The one he's outside right before she comes outside and breaks up with him. And then like all the phones in this, they're all those like very big, kind of still like Saved by the Bell style phones.
Yeah, those like the flip phones that would just like flip the mouthpiece like open. Like the bottom half with the antenna you put up. It was like that. I feel like that's like the salesman phone.
So that was 1996. And then if you think about only 10 years into the future, really, there were starting to be like iPhones and like huge advancements in technology.
That's crazy.
And how quickly that starts. And now you're looking at today, which is like 20 some, a little more than 20 years into the future. And now it's like a whole other world. And then you think, what's it gonna be like in 10 years? We're gonna look back at these iPhones and be like, this is ridiculous. And still, even actually today, I have all my old iPhones. So I've sold one, but I have two other ones. And every now and again, I'll like take them out of my bedside drawer and like compare them side by side and be like, oh my God. And the first one is so little. Yeah, it's like this big and it's a boxy as fuck. And it's just, it's a hoot. It just really, it both entertains me and scares the shit out of me, and it's like the weirdest. It's the weirdest.
I can't believe
feeling.
this movie is 22 years old.
I know. See, it's like what?
That's crazy.
I mean, I get it because the fashion's like not too great. There's one scene where Renee Zellweger is wearing kind of like a cropped sweater,
It's
that
a lot
cropped
of crops.
sweater look.
Yeah, it's a lot of crop stuff.
I wasn't into that.
A lot of like stonewashed, like relaxed jeans. Okay, can we talk about the
Halters.
sunglass thing?
Oh yes, please do.
So I don't know. I mean, we got to do some more research on like Cameron Crowe movies, but like the use of sunglasses in this film is like out of control. So first you're like, wow, Jerry wears sunglasses like a lot, also inside. And there's a scene where he was wearing them because he has like a cut in his eye. So you're like, fine. But it reaches way beyond that. He's wearing sunglasses in like really inappropriate times. And you're like, wait a minute. Then Renee Zellweger does too. Also Rod. Also Marcy. And then there's this one scene where Laurel, the Bonnie Hunt character, it's like nighttime and she's wearing them on her head, like talking to Dorothy on the porch.
It's California.
What if
the
this was
sun,
like product placement?
A lot of sun. Well, you couldn't like identify any of the sunglasses. You know what I think it is that glasses and sunglasses were like an accessory of note in the 90s. Like if you think about it, like that was when like those stupid John Lennon like glasses with like tinted lenses were big. Like I remember in The Craft, actually, even like Nancy had a pair of like little red ones. Like it was part of your outfit to have kind of like matching sunglasses. Or even Teen Witch, where she like puts on the sunglasses at the dance and there was like a flower on the side. And it's just like
it's so weird. Like it's like the other day it was not like it was a summer, like you know in the summer where everyone wears sunglasses all the time. But when it's not sunny, you're like, I feel strange wearing sunglasses. And then you're like, I should not have these on. It feels weird.
The way that I make myself feel better about it, though, like sometimes when it's cloudy, but still there's like a brightness somewhere, I'm always like, in my head, I'm always like, if somebody asks me why I'm wearing sunglasses, I'm going to be like, I have sensitive eyes. I don't know why. I need to like preemptively.
But like in any inside environment, that feels wrong, right? Like even when I would like get on the bus and it's like kind of sunny,
I forget
I
still have them on. Oh. And I'll be like on the train and I'll be like, why is it so dark in here?
What? Oh my God, weird.
Like,
those are dark.
I mean, not
those
for that. Not
light
for long.
lenses then.
No, it's just like I just used to having them, so I just forgot. But yeah,
wearing sunglasses inside just like you think you're a drug addict or something. You know, you have like your eyes are very sensitive, or your eyes are bloodshot. And you don't want people to see. You know?
Here's a fun side story about sunglasses. Liz, our older sister again, had this cool pair of shades in her drawer, so I like put them on, and then I was like, holy shit, I literally thought I had just gained a superpower because I could see what was behind me when I had the sunglasses on. And I literally thought it was like the sunglasses were magic and made me see what was behind me and like from the side of me. I was like, wow, I have this great superhero vision. Turned out they were just like they had mirrors on the side. Do you remember those? Was it like a thing? Was it like a magic trick? I think it was a ruse. I think it was a clever ruse. But I didn't know they were like jokey, like hilarious sunglasses. Yeah. So that's my story, which
Andre, sunglasses.
You mostly missed because you were texting someone while I was telling
it's not story, important for me to listen. It's for
I
other
like
people.
You to react to my stories so that I feel justified.
It was a great story.
I just felt lonely and like I was abandoned.
God, who are you? Jerry Maguire?
I can't be alone.
Grow up. You can't be alone.
Can't be alone.
It's fine. Someone needed me right then.
Okay. Whatever. Yeah. Good times. Good times. Gary.
Gary Maguire is his brother, who's probably 10 times better.
But yeah, rewatch it. Just kind of like mentally subtract the love story, and you'll be fine. You'll be like, I love this movie so much. But yeah, good times. Good times. Do you
oldies?
Do you have thoughts and feelings on Jerry Maguire? Come and find us.
I thought you were asking me that. I was like, what did we just talk about?
We're done with that. Find us on Twitter at The Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.